supposed to start yet. It's supposed to give me a chance to get set up. Jeez, phone. Ready for this live stream to get going, huh? Hi, all. How you doing? Welcome to another I'm Not at Home. I'm at the office. Normal America show. Your host, Rob Noor. Great to be here. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I am. We're back, baby. We're back. America's back. We have a president. Isn't that a weird feeling? Yeah. You remember how we had to pretend that dementia-addled old man that was our president actually was like making decisions and signing things and doing negotiations and, having a brain that was competent enough to hear things without just falling asleep and mumbling his way through things. And we didn't really know the name of the people that were actually running the country. Yeah, that's gone. That's gone today. Joe Biden, your legacy is that of massive corruption. We'll get to sort of his final acts here today. I wish you well in going and spending time with your family. Here's a suggestion for you, former President Biden. Why don't you go spend time with that granddaughter that you were so ashamed of? Why don't you go do that? Maybe that'd be nice. But man, what a great day. It's fantastic. We could talk about bummy CNN and PBS and all of them saying that Elon Musk did a salute that implied that he's somehow some sort of racist. Or how about all the people demanding that I decry the evil pardons of the January? How could you be against violence if you're for the January 6th pardons? Or we can talk about any other litany of things, things I'm not happy about with Trump. These Trump and Melania meme coins. Not today, my friends. Not today, my friends. Today we celebrate that America's back. Now listen, let me make some predictions here for the Trump presidency, or rather, let me hedge my bets for the Trump presidency. I assume that Trump will be incapable of completely draining the swamp. One, I'm not so sure that he'll be up to the task. Second, if he is up to the task, I don't know that any one president in one term would be capable of accomplishing that job, as the corruption is so significant and deep. I think that Trump will do a lot of individual things that I will complain about and criticize him for. He did in the first term. I criticized. He'll probably do in the second term. I'll criticize as well. There will be things that happen under Trump's term that won't be good for this country, whether it be his fault or not. It could be natural disasters. It could be getting involved in conflicts. Any of those sorts of things. But today represents something. And what it represents is at least a significant blow to that very corrupt establishment that doesn't care about people like me. They don't care about the people in rural Pennsylvania. They don't care about American citizens. They care about entrenching power with themselves and their allies that are powerful people in various institutions. And I say, goody to that. Watch them scream and gnash their teeth and revel in it today. You've earned that, if nothing else, if you got out there and voted for Trump, if you've endured these 4 years. Every one of you that sat through a panel or a debate that I had with these lefties that, well, Biden's the president, I don't see signs of his cognitive decline, and the court said that all the January 6th people were guilty, and Biden would never pardon his people, and of course Biden will be the nominee next time, and all lockdowns are good, and we have to do them, and vaccine mandates are good, and of course the virus couldn't have came from a lab in China, and inflation's just transitory, and all of that shit that you heard. Laugh at those people today. They're having a bad day. They shouldn't be, because the country will be better off, even if we have to drag them kicking and screaming. But it's okay to laugh at those people today. It's okay to have fun. I put it this way, in a way that my lefty friends may be listening that could understand. What was Trump's first day in office about? Signing all of these executive orders, his inauguration day speech that he gave. If I could sum it up in a way that perhaps my lefty friends would understand, given what we've seen the past 4 years and the unbelievably effective campaigns ran by dementia-addled Joe Biden and then later his VP, the very capable and joyful Kamala Harris. If I could sum it up. What you heard today from Trump was dark Trump, based. Dark Trump, based. Right? Let's put those memes out with Trump with red eyes. Based. Just so you know, now it's joy. We're the party of joy. The left should understand that, right? We now have an executive order declaring that there's only two genders, male and female. Great. I wonder, does that mean social media platforms will be banning people that suggest that there's more? Because that's what I had to live through. I can't tell you how many debates I had, particularly on the platform of Twitch, where I was goaded into trying to say that maybe there were only two genders, and that's bannable. If you said that in a former Twitter, that could be bannable. Of course, Trump also issued an executive order to fight against government's ability to censor people for political content. Of course, this upsets the left to no end, because remember, to them, it was never about having an equal playing field. It was always about them being allowed to censor you for your political beliefs. And because they feel that they're morally justified, if they're not allowed to censor you, that's you being unfair to them. You see? Because they're better than you. And those people are very upset today. Why? Listen to this. You want to hear? We could talk about some negativity today. I saw a video. This is going to blow your mind. You ready for this? At the anti-Trump protest in D.C. today, someone brought, are you ready for this? A guillotine. Now, I'm old enough to remember when there was a gallows January 6th, 2021, and we were told that that was proof that Trump saying fight like hell meant that he wanted Mike Pence to die, and they tried to kill Mike Pence with these gallows. Never mind that they weren't a functioning gallows, and never mind any of that. Anyway, there's a guillotine today, so insurrection. So I think one of Trump's first acts must be creating a January 20th committee and start by getting all of the documentation of any political commentator or politician that said that we need to fight Trump. Because I also learned from the January 6th type people, when Trump said we had to fight, that was him calling for violence. And so now those people that said we need to fight, and then there was a guillotine brought, well, I think that clearly we need a committee. I think we need the largest FBI task force in history. That's what we need. Insurrection hunters. Perhaps we could all join in and see anybody's face that was at the brutal January 20th rally where they brought a guillotine. Would good people be in a crowd where violent, bloodthirsty maniacs brought a guillotine to kill our president? I don't think so. It's time to start our own form of insurrection hunter, right? Isn't that how it works? Oh, what's that? Democrats have always brought things like that, effigies of Trump that they burned, shot, killed, mangled, fake lethal devices like nooses, guillotines, and stuff like that. And although you may consider it in bad taste, it's free speech. Yeah, that guillotine, it wasn't going to be used. Just like that, it wasn't going to be used on January 6th. The gallows. Same thing. Except I understand that, and I'm willing to call a spade a spade. The Democrats and the Trump haters, they're not. They have to make you pretend. Oh, just like they're making you pretend. Elon Musk did a Nazi salute. Trump said he told Russia on live television to hack Hillary. Here's a question for you. Why wasn't tear gas fired at the people that brought the guillotine today? Why not? Maybe there would have been more violence if the law enforcement decided that they were going to start indiscriminately shooting rubber bullets and tear gas into the crowd. Then maybe there would have been a clash. Then what if some of them would have got rowdy and attacked? Then what? Insurrection? Then all of a sudden? Well, at least the FBI didn't plant any pipe bombs today. That would have been unfortunate. Oh, I guess we don't know if they did that January 6th. They're just incapable. They had to lie about, not having the data from the telephone companies, so they couldn't track the picture of the bomber that they had, which turned out to not be true, claims the telecommunication companies. Oh, well, right? But I digress. Why are we talking about that stuff? What a beautiful day. Pardons left and right. Congratulations, particularly to the nonviolent January 6 people that were railroaded in some of the biggest show trials in the history of this country for getting out tonight, or at least the process started getting out tonight. Good for them. May everyone that cheered for those that didn't engage in violent activity to be jailed suffer the same consequences themselves if they ever have the unfortunate situation where they're at a protest and things get out of hand. Congratulations to Trump. One of the first executive orders he had was the 51 former Intel officials that signed the letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian propaganda. He signed an executive order removing all of their security clearances. Good. Good start. A great day one. Many of his orders have done things like already stopped, that you already saw. The same media that couldn't be bothered. Where was AOC for 4 years when there were 3 times more kids in cages under Biden? She couldn't make it to the border. The media stopped covering it. But boy, today they were at the border. One of the programs that was used to legally bring in millions of immigrants was closed down officially today. And there they were with cameras while a woman cried. Now, my heart's out to that woman. I'm sorry that you were fed a bill of goods by people that don't care about the people of our country, such as the people that were running the Biden administration, and they told you may not be able to come here. No, our country should operate like any other sensible country where we have the right to tell people that we're not the world's garbage ground that just brings in people and we're not allowed to control our borders. So I'm sorry that you were fed a false bill of goods, and my heart does go out to you. I understand your tears, just like the tears of the Laken Riley and the other people that have been negatively affected by the open border that we had. I understand those tears. Unfortunately, we're a country and we're going to secure our borders, or at least that's the promise that we've been sold. And so good luck with you going back to your country of origin. Good luck with that. I will not be persuaded by emotional photos that will be showed by a media that clearly did not care at all, did not care the plight of the people at the border when it was Joe Biden. They didn't even care enough to be honest about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Sorry. I've talked about this many times. It's not that I don't have a big heart. The reason that Democrats and the people that support them appeal to your heart is they know you have one, and they don't. At least on this particular issue. Anyone who decried kids in cages under Donald Trump, you had people like Biden and Kamala Harris that said were human rights violations, that then said nothing when there were way more of those kids in cages under Harris Biden. They didn't care. They never cared about kids in cages. But they knew you did. They knew I did. I don't want to see any kid in any cage ever. But it's an impossible situation. They have appealed to the good nature of the American public. Look at the sob story of all of these people. You want someone who's being persecuted in their home country to not be allowed to come here? Oh, I guess not. I guess they should be allowed to come. Great, here's 10 million. The example I give is you set the bowl of candy out because you can't be there Halloween. Then you look at your Ring camera and you see your neighbor who's a grown man instantly comes over and takes all the candy. Then the next year, the same thing happens. The next year, the same thing happens. Then the 4th year, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to set the bowl of candy out. And your neighbor says, what, you don't care about the kids? You don't care if the kids get candy? Well, sir, you keep taking it all. So no, unfortunately, you've ruined it for everyone. And unfortunately, that's what the situation should be. 0 refugees should be taken. Now, some will, but we should take 0 until we are ensured that our border is secure and not exploitable in the ways that we've seen. Sorry. To any legitimate refugee out there, I'm sorry. Don't blame us. Don't blame the Trump administration. blame the people that took advantage of the situation to have what was tantamount to de facto open borders. Blame them. That's who did it. Now there can't be generosity that there would have been in the past. I don't care to hear anyone that defended the Biden administration and their corruption now claim that we have to condemn X, Y, or Z. I don't care. But Rob, if you were against violence on January 6th, how could you support the pardons? Because it was a corrupt system. Were there people on January 6th that deserved to be punished? Yeah, there were, particularly those that engaged in violence. But it is clear that this, from January 6th committee to the FBI investigations to the way that the judges held these trials to the fact that many of them were done in D.C., where you had 90% people that were going to vote Democrat, it was clear that this was a show trial through and through for all of these people. And that's not to get to the specifics of acts of corruption that you could see all through it, such as people that were or people that testified, such as certain law enforcement officers that were provably lying, evidence being withheld from people that were January 6th defendants, etc. I'm not going to listen to them tell me I have to condemn Trump's pardons that he promised he was going to give on a day where Biden, who promised he wouldn't give these sort of pardons, pardoning Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger, the January 6th committee, treasonous General Miley, Dr. Fauci, and then with 5 minutes or so to go in his presidency, his entire family. It's a super chat there. Let's see if I can get it. David, thanks so much for $5, says, you think Trump's backtracking on mass deportation by changing it to only criminal illegal immigrants? I don't think so. I think it was always going to have to be that you start with the people that are the worst, that you get out first. That's just logistically how it's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if by the end of it, it's not every illegal has to go, and there's some sort of path for being allowed to remain. But I believe the idea will be to get rid of the worst people first. So that would be criminals first, then people that are clearly a net drain. Hopefully, once the process starts, there'll be a lot of self-deportation. And then we see what happens at the end of it. So there was a video I saw of Biden running for office in 2020, and this video is incredible. He says, in a 30-second clip, he says, the idea that Trump may preemptively pardon people, that's an admission of guilt, and I would never do things like that. I'm not the type of president that will issue law by Twitter. Thank you, Jess Gerald, for becoming a member. Happy Liberation Day. Couldn't agree more. Jess Gerald, always incredibly generous. Thank you so much, sir. So Biden, he wouldn't issue preemptive pardons, and he wouldn't create law via Twitter. And then two of his last acts are declaring the 28th Amendment has passed just because he says so on X. I guess he was right. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X. And then preemptively pardoning worse than any president has in history. As if it wasn't obvious that this was going to occur, by the way. You can see, I'd talked about it for years, but you could see that I had a post about it in December. When Biden was issuing all these pardons of like cop killers and all these other people, I said, you think Biden's pardoning in outrageous ways all of these people today, in part, so when he eventually pardons his family and all of these other people, we're more numb to it? Oh, it's that 5 minutes left in his presidency, he pardons his whole family, and then the news cycle becomes Trump's inauguration. Elon Musk did a Nazi salute. Yay! We can stop talking about Trump's corruption, or Biden's corruption. He did it. Remember when Biden's DOJ said that if Trump pardoned January 6ers, anyone who accepted that pardon, it was an admission of guilt. Say again? Who did Biden pardon? Fauci, Miley, basically the entire January 6th committee, including Benny Thompson, Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger, his brother James Biden, his daughters, basically his entire family. Though I will say, suspiciously absent from his family that got pardoned was his granddaughter. You know, the one that he refused to recognize until the media shamed him into it. I noticed she was left out of the pardon list once more. Jess Gerald, thanks so much for $5. Says, you can't see it, but say hello to your new 50 members. Love your channel, Mr. Nor. When you go live, there's just nowhere else I'd like to be. Thank you. Thank you. I did not see you donated 50 memberships. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, thank you for those saying 96 watching. Yeah. I appreciate it. I'm humbled. I really am. I don't think he pardoned her diary. Didn't pardon himself. Where's all the credit? Where's the norms, people? Democracy, norms. Where are they? You remember, you can find clip after clip after clip after clip after clip after clip of Democrats and media members saying, Joe Biden would never issue pardons like that. Well, here we are. Well, he had to. Because what if, can you imagine if Trump's DOJ goes after his political opponents? No, tell me more. What next? Are you going to say, what if Elon on X censored Democrats? What if he kicked off the Democrat candidate for president? No, tell me more. That'd be terrible. What if Trump's FBI gets illegal FISA warrants to spy on his opponents? Oh, that would be outrageous. Wouldn't that be terrible? By the way, when the whole, well, the Supreme Court just said Trump could order the assassination of his opponent, bullshit debacle was going on with the Supreme Court case that you saw every Democrat gnashing their teeth and foaming at the mouth. One of the arguments that I made all along was, technically, there's already an unfair procedure like that, which is the pardon procedure. Like, hypothetically, a president could just be like, hey, I would like my opponents, I would like them out of the race because I think they're bad people. That's all he'd have to say. And then if his team decides we're going to plant evidence on them and lock them up, and then the president goes, sweet, oh, by the way, you're pardoned. Isn't that sort of the same thing? Wrong. Didn't Trump warn of an enemy list that he's planning on going after? And who gives a shit? Democrats did it. So, cool. No, the pardon's door to avoid criminals from being investigated. That's what it is. Democrats decided in unprecedented ways to break the glass on using lawfare to go after their opponent. Then Democrats decided in unprecedented ways on their way out the door to issue blanket pardons for preemptive crimes to make sure that they can't be held accountable for the crimes that they committed in weaponizing lawfare to go after their opponents. That's what happened. For example, we could all but see Dr. Fauci lied under oath. Now, we're told when people lied to investigators that were connected to Trump, allegedly, whether it be Michael Flynn or Papadopoulos or Manafort or Carter Page or any other litany of people that we were told, that's a serious crime. But when Dr. Fauci repeatedly went in front of the House, the Senate, national television saying, we didn't do gain of function, and it was, okay, now you're going to be investigated for possibly perjuring yourself under oath. Oh, he needed the pardon because that evil Trump would have went after him. So, if he committed a crime, shouldn't he have been gone after? I guess some people are above the law. Huh? Or if Liz Cheney illegally colluded with witnesses behind the scenes of the January 6th committee to get them to alter testimony, isn't that grounds for investigation? You see, we were told way back in 2016, it's okay for a sitting administration, DOJ and FBI, to go after their political opponent. Obama's FBI did it. Remember the infamous meeting where they were all sitting around, Susan Rice and Joe Biden and James Comey and Barack Obama, and they were discussing what to do about Michael Flynn, and Biden was like, maybe we'll use the Logan Act. We were told that was all okay. Why? Because Trump and Flynn and all of them were so dubious. The crimes being investigated were real. Intel Wild for $5. Thank you so much. Says, can everyone in chat give a W for Jess Gerald? Yeah, I agree. The guy's very generous, and gives so much to the channels. He definitely is. I can't say enough of Jess Gerald. Thank you for those W's. He's given probably 95% of the memberships on my channel have been donated by Jess Gerald. So thank you so much. Incredible supporters. And not just him. I have a lot of great supporters. I can't thank you enough. And as someone who did my little, I like to think that I'm 0.0000001% responsible for helping get Trump elected. So as someone who tried my hardest, well, I can't say my hardest. I tried really hard to do what I could to help Trump cross the finish line. It's a day of celebration for me, and I hope you're all celebrating as well. I'll be right back to criticizing Trump when I think he deserves it. Any day. Not too happy with this meme coin bullshit, if I could just say. But we're going to hold back today. Welfare check for Sage. You know what would have been funny? I would give Biden this. If he would have pardoned Hannibal Lecter, because you know Trump's always bringing up Hannibal Lecter, that would have actually been quite funny. But, thanks. I appreciate it, Michigan. So we get all these corrupt pardons from Biden. Well, that's because Trump would have went after his opponents like we went after him. I mean, when we went after him, it was all totally justified. But oh boy, if Trump went after his opponents, hey, that's the new reality. That's the new norm. Norms. So, two things need to happen. One, and I put a bunch of posts out about these pardons this morning. The first thing is, some of it seems like a sort of concept of mutually assured destruction. So, we won't weaponize the political system to go after you, and you won't weaponize to go after us, because once that glass is broken, bam, we're all going after each other. And we won't pardon our families and everyone preemptively, because then you'll do it and it'll just be craziness. So it's like, oh, well, that treaty's been broken. Democrats have done it. Not so fast, because the Democrats and the establishment have something that MAGA and Republicans don't. And that is state attorney generals willing to corruptly go after their opponents. That doesn't exist currently on the Republican side. Doesn't exist. So you can't pardon for state crimes. For example, Trump can't pardon himself for the Alvin Bragg case in New York, the 37 felonies. He's not allowed to do that. So, if you ever wondered if state elections matter, of course they matter for all sorts of reasons. But you need to start getting state attorney generals that are going to be willing to prosecute, not make up stuff like the Democrats do, but actually go after real crimes that harm the people of their state. Like maybe Dr. Fauci. Maybe he harmed your state. So hopefully state attorney generals decide to pick up the ball, maybe in Florida with Ron DeSantis, and aggressively prosecute some of these people. That's number one. Because it will not stop until the people that have weaponized these sorts of things suffer the very consequences they want against you. It will not stop. The second thing is, just because people have been pardoned does not mean that there can't be investigations. There needs to be an investigation into the January 6th committee. There needs to be an investigation into Dr. Fauci. And the results of that, even if it can't lead to criminal charges, which there still would be ways it would be able to, but even if it can't, those results need to be made directly to the American people. So a good starting point for Kash Patel and Pam Bondi should be every single person that just got a pardon looking into them. Make it as transparent as possible. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is once you can no longer be held criminally accountable, you cannot take the Fifth Amendment, plead the Fifth, because the Fifth is to protect you from incriminating yourself in possible legal cases. Now, I'm dubious of this because are you allowed to take the Fifth to protect yourself from possible state charges? So is that an argument that they would be able to make? I did watch inauguration festivities for a while. Now I'm streaming. And I can't watch while I'm on the phone and stream, so. And then they're always capable of saying, I don't recall. Right? Even if you can't plead the fifth, like if Liz Cheney gets called in front of a Republican House committee to testify, and if she doesn't come, you could say, okay, well, that's the charge they charged all the people Bannon and all them for? Contempt, right? Because they didn't show up. So they show up. Nothing to stop Liz Cheney from just 6 hours of saying, I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. Now, as we know from the charging of Mike Flynn, saying I don't recall could still be a lie, so they could still charge those people, I guess. But those are the sorts of things that need to happen. How funny were the people that didn't get pardons? I saw Alexander Vindman's wife spoke out and said, my husband didn't get a pardon. Great. May he spend the rest of his life in jail if he's guilty of crimes, which it looks like is a good possibility. Whoops. Guess you went to bat for the wrong team. Make no mistake about it. If you happen to be watching this and you're in the FBI or the State Department or the IRS or any other executive agency, or you've in any way helped them in corrupt efforts, as soon as your usefulness runs out, they will throw you under the bridge. They don't care. I did not personally meet Scott Presler. I've talked to him a couple times on the phone, but I did not meet him. Or on Spaces, I talked to him. But Pisco, I was going to have fun pissing with Pisco, speaking of being on notice. Today, I was going to have fun. One of the first things I put, it's just hilarious. Well, it's a dark day. Well, where's that dark branding guy, Pisco? Remember that? Remember how happy he was about dark branding? It's a dark day. I'm going to type in all caps. Traitors! They let the traitors go. It's weird. I don't remember Pisco getting upset that the traitors that attacked the White House on May 30th, 2020. I don't remember him getting upset about those traitors getting away with it. Or a litany of other things. But he's just melting down, as all of the dark Brandon supporters are. And I also put out, I know everyone's panicking with all the festivities going on today. What if a comedian makes a joke about Puerto Rico? Don't worry. Pisco's on it. He's going to be watching all day to make sure no Tony Hinchcliffe HS comedians get up there and make a joke at Puerto Rico's expense. And you can be damn sure if they do, Pisco will be on it for days and days and days. It's the most important story in the world. So we have that. And I would have continued to piss with him, but I don't think he's having a good day. And it would be fine if he's just not having a good day because of Trump being sworn in. I think there's more going on in that world. Beatrix, I'm not sure if they were all pardoned. I haven't seen the paperwork, but I've seen reports that it looks like, I think Enrique Tarrio, they're saying, was pardoned, and he was the one sentenced to the longest time. So we'll see officially what happened. Jess Gerald, again, thanks so much for $5. Says, go out and boost this channel up, chat. Spread it like wildfire. Rob, how is it legal to pardon family? How is there no cap on pardons? It's plenary power. There shouldn't be a cap on pardoning family. The principle behind a pardon is that the executive has this authority for sort of healing purposes for a country, and that's the way it's written. I don't necessarily mind it. Look, I'll go a little further than you all. Is accepting a pardon an admission of guilt? No. I don't think so. Now, the Democrats certainly said that to anyone that Trump pardoned. And they'll say that about the January 6th people, as we can already see the Democrats DOJ did. And why shouldn't they be held to their own standards? They should. But I can understand. Do you think Trump should have pardoned himself and people surrounding him when he left in 2020? Probably would have been the smart thing to do. But he didn't. So yeah, it should. I don't have a problem with it being legal. The executive orders look good so far. Again, I didn't watch every single one of them. The ones I talked about, the banning the 51 people that signed the Hunter Biden laptop, good. A lot of the stuff on the border, good. The pardoning of nonviolent January 6 people, good. The two genders thing, good. Yeah, he should have pardoned Snowden, probably, I think. We'll see if he pardons Ross Ulbricht from the Silk Road. That's something that he promised libertarians he would do, so I'm hoping he does. I suppose, yeah, we'll see if he gets to those. I mean, there's other news to talk about today as well. Vivek's apparently off of Doge. I think that sucks. I was heavily critical of what Vivek said regarding H-1Bs, but I don't think it was that tweet that got him in trouble. Because if Musk is still at Doge and Musk is saying very similar things to Vivek, I don't think that's what it was. I think that there were probably behind the scenes stuff, maybe, that will come out. Personally, my thoughts on Vivek were always high upside, high downside. He said more than any other person running for president the things that appealed to me the most. But he might have just been saying that because he was a very skilled grifter. The reason I took him as my primary choice was because I was willing to take that chance that he would actually do the things he was saying over Trump and DeSantis, who I didn't think got the corruption as much. So maybe the people surrounding Trump think that Vivek's just a grifter and he has his own agenda and he doesn't believe in a lot of things he was saying, and so he's out at Doge. Maybe he tried to be the big man and Elon wants to be the big man, and so they butted heads and so he's out. I don't know. But I don't hate Vivek as much as many other MAGA people for his poorly worded post on X regarding H-1Bs. I shredded that post. I think I heavily criticized it. But I'm not willing to throw him out over one post on X. Just like I've criticized Elon for stuff. Banning of certain people, the releasing of DMs of Asmongold. I thought that was shit. Comes across as incredibly petty. Nonetheless, the reason I say Pisco's having a bad day, I don't know that he personally is, but as you all know, Pisco has a show with Destiny, does a lot of collaborations with them, and there are new allegations of a serious nature out against Destiny. And so I think a lot of the people that are in that orbit are sort of in limbo right now about what they're going to do. Now, that could run the gambit from people that are trying to protect Destiny and they're going to, try to spin it in a positive light or whatever, or maybe people that are just saying, what do I do about this? It's going to be a weird situation. I hesitate to even talk about these topics because it's not something I talk about much. However, I dug myself a hole because I talked about this situation when it first arose. So it's worth mentioning here on Liberation Day a little about this situation so that I hopefully don't have to talk about it much in the future. I don't know what it was, a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago. Scrolling through X, and I'm seeing all these posts about pornographic videos of the streamer Destiny that are all over social media at this place that were leaked. And then, unfortunately, as I was scrolling, on my feed on X, there popped one up, and I saw a second and a half of. And so everyone was like, oh my God, did you see this? And it was the talk of the town. And I had person after person DMing me and asking me what I thought about it. And so I gave a very benign take, but my truthful take, which was, I'm not here to make fun of Destiny and what sex acts he may or may have not committed. I think it sucks that private videos of his got released, and I think the person that did that should be held accountable. That's it. Since then, I've had people say in my post and elsewhere, well, Destiny's the one who released that without the consent of the people. Now, I'll be honest, that sounds reasonable. That sounds like how that would probably occur. If it wasn't Destiny's computer itself that got hacked, and instead the story is Destiny sent these videos to a third party, and then that third party's account got hacked or whatever, and then got released from them, it would seem suspicious that the third party got those videos from Destiny and everyone consented. I don't care about sex acts. I don't give a shit about any of that as long as it's adults that are consenting. I don't give a shit. And I think that as much hatred, I don't even want to say hatred, as much vitriol that I've put against people like Destiny, Pisco, all these people on the left, attack them all the time, I think that I've been pretty good at staying out of that sort of stuff. So you didn't see me saying, ha, Destiny's open relationship, ha, his wife left him. I didn't say that shit. I don't really care about that. He's got enough dog shit political takes to give me ammunition or anyone else that wants to talk to him. Now, if it's your taste that you want to talk to him about that sort of stuff, fine. I don't care. I don't think you're a bad person. It's just not what I do. Anywho, so I mentioned that. Just thinking through it, if you have sex tapes with 4 people and you give them all to another person, you're like, look at this. Common sense would tell you, you probably didn't get the consent of each of those 4 people to give that material to another person. You may have. I'm not saying it's beyond the realm of possibility, but it would seem unlikely. That seems like something you do as like a fetish. Not, hey, I got these cool videos I want to send you specifically, so let me call all of the people that did the video with me or send them an email and say, do you mind if I send our sex tape to this other person you've never met? That doesn't sound like how that would happen. So I'm well aware when I said I feel bad for Destiny, and I still feel bad for Destiny, that these tapes got leaked. I do. And when the response was, yeah, but he leaked them without consent to the person who ultimately ended up having their account hacked and be leaked. But I didn't say anything about it because I hadn't heard anything. Now there's a person named Pixie who has came forward and said she will be entering in a lawsuit because she feels that it was against the law and damaged her significantly, that Destiny, I don't know if she's from whatever, I don't know anything about that person. Now, this is normally not something I would weigh in on, but I would be a hypocrite if I weighed in and said I felt bad for Destiny when his tapes got released to the public and felt that the person responsible should be held accountable. I also feel bad for any of the partners that were in those tapes. And if Destiny's one of the people responsible for leaking that content to third parties, then he should be held accountable. That's it. That's my big take on it. She claims that that's what occurred. I saw other people saying that not so erudite. There are DMs released where she was basically encouraging this Pixie person to, how much money would it take for this to go away? I don't know if that's true or not. If so, that's pretty shitty from someone like Erudite. Perhaps this Pixie person completely gave consent to Destiny for this, and now she's just trying to get a quick payday. Perhaps it's not even her in the videos. I don't know. I'm not saying 100% Destiny's guilty. I didn't delve too deep into it. I just know that people were like, hey, you commented on it when you said Destiny was a victim. What about Pixie? Now someone asked if I want to interview Pixie. No, I do not. I don't care to talk about this that much at all. I don't. If Pixie is a victim, as she claims, I hope that she is compensated. There's a conversation to have. How much of a victim does it make you to have intimate videos like this be released? I think it's pretty significant. I think the significance goes down if it's like, I want to do a video on morality someday because there are questions I just have. Like, what if it's Photoshop or AI? I don't think that's as bad, but still not good. But I know people, you know the meme of the black guy sitting naked on the bed with the huge dong? Do people know what I'm talking about? Maybe I'm outing myself as a pervert here. But does anybody know what I'm talking about? There's like this meme of this like, no, people don't know this. I'm off on my own here. Okay. Now I'm being called gay. Shit, I've outed myself. Okay, Imaginarium knows. I'm not. I may or may not know people that have photoshopped my friends who are white, their face on this guy on that meme. Are they revenge porners? I don't think so. So there's different levels of this shit. But I think that clearly having a sex tape of a person and then sending it to other people, that's a really shitty thing to do. And I saw Connor from Counterpoints was like, hey, for $1 million, fuck, you can release images of me. Yeah, okay, what about your wife, dude? It's a little different then, isn't it? And listen, people all do these things differently. I don't think this rises to the level of a sexual assault or anything of that nature. But yeah, it basically would fall under revenge porn laws, I think. So, again, I don't give it. Then I've heard that there are people in the Destiny orbit that are saying, yeah, this was too far. I could be wrong, but I heard someone told me that this Pixie person who's claiming that she was one of the people in these videos and that Destiny released this and she's seeking a lawsuit, perhaps is Lonerbox's girlfriend. I don't know if that's true, but has some relationship with Lonerbox. For those that don't know, because you're probably like me and don't follow all these characters, I only know Lonerbox because, like, again, I'll say this one more time. I enjoy debating Destiny. I think Destiny's a pretty good debater. I think he is someone who has a big voice on the left, particularly online. And I enjoy debating him because, one, debating him is much more of a challenge and much more intellectually stimulating than, did you see me debate that Neo Jackass guy the other day? That's what like 90% of online debates are. Just someone who can't even follow a logic thread. And so to debate someone who's actually going to push back on you, I have more fun. So that's number one reason that I like debating Destiny. And I'm not going to bullshit you. It's nice, instead of 150 people watching, for it to be 10,000. That's nice. So I like that. I like going in there and doing really well against him for a huge audience. I like that. And I'll be honest, probably because of my appearances on Destiny's show debating him was what was responsible for getting me on Tim Pool's show. And it's probably a good reason why my audience grew pretty substantially in the past year. So, selfishly, I want to give Destiny the benefit of the doubt. Maybe subconsciously that selfishness goes away once Destiny blacklisted me and blocked me on places like X. I don't know. But for me, after the assassination attempt of Trump, when Destiny was spiraling, I thought, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I still do on a lot of this stuff. There's only one question I have. I do think his jokes about the firefighter that died are despicable, but I'm willing to write those off as jokes. However, when Pisco asked him point blank, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? And he said, I can't say because of terms of service, but I will say the worst thing that could have happened was the assassin shooting at Trump and not killing him. I was I said here, I was on the fence. I was still willing to talk to Destiny. I was willing to hear him out. Having seen how he's acted since then, still to even going as so far when he was correctly, in my opinion, decrying those on the left that were celebrating that Luigi guy that shot the United Healthcare CEO. But his defense of why it was different than the assassination of Trump was Trump's objectively evil. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt anymore. However, while I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, one thing that I legitimately feel bad for Destiny, I think Destiny has a lot of people because of his success that sort of want to surround him in hopes that some of that success rubs off on them. I've already admitted I like debating him for a big audience, but I'm not going to be his buddy. We disagree. But there's an awful lot of people that are more politically aligned with him that I think that's sort of the goal. And so are those people ever going to look out for his interests and tell him when he's going awry? It might take a lot to get that. Anyways, I thought that the reason Destiny was making these comments when I was giving him the benefit of the doubt was that he was spiraling because, there were some personal things going on in his life that had been made public I don't care to talk about. And then there was this event, the assassination attempt of Trump, which at the time, if you remember, if you go back to that day and the day after that, there was this sort of coalescing of many, many people that said this is too far. And Trump came out looking like a boss, pumping his fists saying fight. And it really, at that point, seemed like this is going to be the turning point of the election. And so I had two agendas in mind because I hated streaming that week because for me, even the people that I disagree with on here, and there's a lot of shitheads that have done shitty stuff. I've done shitty stuff in my life. But I always like to think, even if we politically disagree, that there's some sort of understanding that we're human. We don't want the other one to die. We don't want to use violence against our opponents. And there are still those that I think have came out strongly on that favor. I disagree with massively on other issues. Pisco, to his credits, came out strongly against that sort of shit. Wick's another one. So I was having a miserable time streaming that week, but I know people wanted to hear from me because I talk about politics all the time, and this is you would hope, a once-in-a-lifetime event, and then we had another assassination attempt. So if you remember, what I was saying was one of the things I thought I could do good with my platform was to try to reach out to people from all sides of the aisle and say, listen, we got to pull the reins back a little and at least start under the base of we can't wish assassinations on those we disagree with. Cody Folsom for $5, thanks so much, says, hope all is well, Rob. I hate Ohio State, as do I. Are they winning? That game's tonight, isn't it? Shit. Yeah, I'm rooting for Notre Dame. But they won't win. Ohio State's going to win. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Figures. Ohio State dominating. So I had reached out to several people behind the scenes saying, hey, I know Destiny doesn't give a shit about me, but if you're friends with him, you might want to tell him he needs to really think about the shit he's saying right now. Because there's a chance he could inspire someone to do something really shitty, or he could get himself in some sort of legal trouble, or he could get himself kicked off some of these platforms. So if you give a shit about him, you should probably reach out to him and be like, hey. So I reached out to people like that, and then I also reached out to people trying to get on the show to get on their shows to talk about the need to pull back on violence. One of them was Lauren Southern. Hey, what's up, Rob? I said, yeah, I just want to come on your show and talk about the need to sort of pull back on violent rhetoric. No response, okay? J-Stock and Cherry, I went on their show. Can we all agree on assassination attempts, blah, blah, blah? Well, says J-Stock. I couldn't believe it. It was like pulling teeth to get on a show with anyone that would be like, yeah, of course. Assassination attempts fucking wrong. And then the one that shocked me the most, but I only knew them on the periphery, was Lonerbox. Because Lonerbox always seemed like sort of a research type guy who was more level-headed. And Lonerbox, this is like a day or so after the assassination, after all this rhetoric with Destiny and going off, he put out like, at what point should we have assassinated Hitler? Now, every one of us know what, in the context of what's going on that day and the day before, what Lonerbox is saying there. Well, if Trump really is this evil madman, at what point? So I messaged publicly on X underneath Lonerbox, was like, basically, what the fuck is this? And he's like, if you want to come on the show and talk about it. So I did. And for the sake of magnanimity, to be magnanimous, I don't know if magnanimity is a word, I was like, I accepted Lonerbox's bullshit explanation, which was, oh no, it had nothing to do with the Trump assassination attempt. I was just curious. Okay. That's my only dealing as far as I know with Lonerbox. We left on what I thought was a reasonably positive note. Bygones, no hard feelings. That's the only reason I know these people. Erudite, I did a couple of things with previously. So that's the only reason that I know these particular characters. There is a moral question outside the scope of the specifics of the Destiny situation of when are you morally obligated to not stream with a person? In this particular situation, if you're Dan or Bisco or Lonerbox or any number of other people that have done streams with Bisco, or maybe Erudite, you have a show with him, or with Destiny, you have a show with him. If the allegations are true, is that enough for you to say, I can't be on a show with you anymore? I think clearly there's a level where the answer to that is yes, but there's also a level where you don't say any small thing is a reason. So it's going to be a threshold. Like, you find out someone didn't pay their back taxes. I don't know that that's a reason not to stream with them. You find out someone was arrested for stealing from a gas station. Probably not reason not to stream with them. But revenge porn type stuff? I don't know. I guess it depends on your particular context. And then maybe you have some doubt. If Destiny says, I didn't do it, then you say, well, I have the benefit of the doubt. Or if Destiny says, I did do it, but I'm really sorry. I don't know. But that's it. That's me fucking addressing this. I don't want to talk about it unless there's something that involves me somehow going forward with it. This is it. So anybody, the next 2 weeks, Destiny's probably going to come out and say, this is what I have to say about it. And more people are going to be saying shit. I still like some of the people that are peripheral to Destiny. I still like Pisco. I don't think Pisco's a shitty person in that sense. I don't know what he does. Pisco threw a fucking conniption where I mentioned the other day when you have all these politicians that are now doing shows with Destiny. Do they know that Destiny's made those comments about Trump's assassination? And Pisco said, that's trying to deplatform. I don't think so. I hope they do. I hope they agree with Destiny and publicly say so. Just like if someone was doing an interview with Nick Fuentes, you could be damn sure people like Pisco and them would say, did you know that this is what Fuentes is about? Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. So I'm not going to, but I will say I'm not going to give those people a hard time. If you were Destiny's friend and these story allegations are true and you tried to pressure people into silence, then you're a piece of shit. But other than that, if you're just like, wow, I'm caught off guard by this, I don't know what to say, I'm not fucking interested in drilling people down for that. You know, so that's it. That's all I have to fucking say on the topic. Next, moving on. In other news related to Destiny fanboys, there was a funny exchange I had over the weekend on X with a bunch of RobGPT people where I showed the timestamp showing that Destiny, go to Destiny's video where he says, where it's me and him in that debate where it says, it's titled like, outs conservative for using AI. The timestamp is 2 hours, 53 minutes, 30 seconds. Go to that and watch the next 2 minutes when Destiny goes, oh, it says, yeah, I guess you're right here. Okay, well, yeah, yeah, it looks like that. I guess you're right. That'll dispense with that. There's only two options at that point. That one, I was still wrong. And even though I never claimed to have read that paper, but Destiny did, Destiny's either didn't understand the paper or he's lying. He didn't read it. And that's it. That's all they have. Someone says, for Super Chat, thank you so much. Anonymous Coward for $5 says, Rob, come on. Or come on, Rob, all these orbiters sweeping for him, all because they stand to lose. They give zero fucks. Erudite's literally Ghislaine Maxwell. Maybe. Are all of his orbiters doing that? Or some coming out? If Lonerbox retweeted Pixie's statement, doesn't sound like he's sweeping it up. I don't know. We'll have to see. I saw a lot of people who were hesitant to comment until individuals that were affected commented. Like, let me give you an example. If, as outlandish as it is to even think this, but if there was a sex tape of me that got released to a third party, and then that third party got hacked and it got made public, and I was never consulted, theoretically, I could say, I don't give a shit. Yeah, they released that without my consent, but I don't care. If that would have been the case and everyone involved in these tapes would have said, I just don't give a shit, then are people corrupt for sweeping it up? I don't think so. But if you're pressuring, hey, what would it take to make this go away? I was talking to Destiny and he'd be willing to pay you money. That's not good. And that's the allegation. But I can't confirm or deny that. But I put that in a different level of, hey, I just wasn't going to talk about it until a victim spoke up. That's reasonable, I think. Yeah, you didn't miss anything, Brian. Just fucking drama bullshit. Anyways, back to the good shit. It's Liberation Day, baby. I saw someone just messaged me, my friend Todd Bartley, that Hulk Hogan apparently said at the inauguration, he stole my joke. I was the first person to make that joke. That the only person that in his family that Biden didn't pardon was his granddaughter that he was refusing. Andrew Haskins, thanks for the membership, says, I want Trump to challenge blanket pardons HPU, Rob. I don't know. He can challenge. Again, I don't think you need to legally challenge blanket pardons to get the desired results that you want. Jack of Trades for $10. Thanks so much. Says, check your DMs. Liberation Day. Hail Trump. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. I mean, even if you're a Democrat and you hate Trump, at least we have a president today, unlike yesterday. There is a possible avenue to challenge these pardons, which is that Joe Biden was too mentally infirm to make them. It'd be an interesting argument. I mean, what if he was? What if he's just mumbling to himself, eating his fucking chocolate chip ice cream, and they're like, here, give me your hand. I don't know. I saw that there were people saying that there were differences in signatures. I just don't know. I assume that there will be no challenge of that effect. Make no mistake about it. When Trump leaves office, if it's unpopular, his term's unpopular, the establishment and the Democrats, if they win, will go after Trump and his entire family again. And so there is a good chance that Trump would then issue pardons for himself and his family. At which time, everyone who said, oh, if you accept a pardon, that's a tacit admission of guilt, will be like, well, and if Trump challenges whether or not those sort of pardons are legitimate, will people change their tune when it comes to Trump protecting himself and his family? There's a question of the constitutionality of it, but I would say probably yes. What's up, Rising Phoenix? what you're likely to see is, I think one of the things I think that's amazing, and I understand why this upsets people. I debated Andrew Wilson on this days before the election, which he was all about when I was on Jake Rattlesnake's show, coming on and just throwing, haymakers, repeal the 19th, repeal the 19th, 2 days before an election. Okay. Hey, half the voting, potential voting base, we're going to run on saying that you can't vote anymore 2 days before an election. Not too bright, in my opinion. There will be a lot of things that happen in the Trump administration that a lot of conservatives, Republicans, etc. don't like. Ask yourself this: would it have been better with Kamala? For example, I saw Paul Ryan was sort of getting grilled the other day. He was like, oh yeah, I'm behind Trump now. Yeah, we could have, maybe that would have been a worthwhile message like 2 months ago during the election. But now it's like, well, yeah, it was better than Kamala. And so for all those people that were like, I'm not going to vote for Trump, like, good job, I guess. Now, having said that, now that Trump has won, I don't see a problem with everyone who has a beef with specific things bringing it up. That's what I said about the H-1B thing. If not now, then when? Particularly now. If one of my arguments is, why would you have this divisiveness 2 days before an election? Then wouldn't the counter to that be, well, okay, then wouldn't the point to raise those sort of objections be immediately following an election victory? Because we're further away from an election now than we potentially could be. So what happens is there is a lot of grievances from the coalition that Trump has brought together of things that are occurring inside that coalition. For example, the people that want H-1Bs expanded or utilized, there's a lot of people that say, no, we don't want that. There are a lot of fiscal conservatives that aren't going to be happy with the spending, myself included, that you'll see under Trump. Until Wild for $5. Thank you so much. Says Happy Trump Day. Thank you. There's a lot of pro-life or religious people that aren't going to be happy. There's a lot of people that culturally are conservative that aren't going to be happy. For example, with someone like Snoop Dogg performing. And I get it. Should someone like me be happy that people like Jeff Bezos and Jeff Zuckerberg showed up? Mark Zuckerberg, not Jeff. Who the hell is Jeff Zuckerberg? After all, their platforms were censoring people like me. Now there they are. And there is potential for infighting on those particular things. And I think that's perfectly reasonable, by the way, and should happen. And I'm sure that I'll be talking about those things as we move forward. And I have the track record to back it up. I did it in Trump's first term. I criticized those that I thought were too sycophantic that refused to call out Trump for what I thought were obvious blunders. And I'll do it again. Unless Trump's team's paying me a bunch. But, and I assume most of my audience will fall somewhere in that category. But you do have to marvel at how different things are today than they were in 2016 through 2020. Like, it would have been unheard of for culturally relevant celebrities in, like, the entertainment industry to the extent of Snoop Dogg showing up, endorsing, or Jeff Bezos, or Zuckerberg. Culture wouldn't have accepted that. That's where we were from 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Maybe it started changing around 23. That shows you that those people, some of them are, maybe most of them are disingenuous. It's not that, oh, we hated Trump then and now we love Trump or we really like Trump. Most of it is bullshit. They see it as a way, they're reading tea leaves. Oh, this is the direction the country's going. And those people should be called out. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm just saying today it's worth taking note of it. They see the tea leaves, and they're right that the country has changed. We're tired of but Trump's a racist bullshit. The Elon saluted Nazis today. That shit ain't gonna fly anymore. It ain't gonna fly. It's not just so they don't end up on the business end of the X. I completely disagree with that. Like, for example, do you think Donald Trump was going to say, now we're going to issue an executive order that says Snoop Dogg could no longer sell rap albums? He's not allowed to be on The Masked Singer anymore. No. Now you might say, well, that's what Zuckerberg's doing. That's what Bezos is doing. Maybe, but it's more than just those two. And it's more than just, it's a carrot stick approach. Yeah, they might be afraid of a stick, but they also want the carrot, which is they see the direction that culture is moving. They see it. It's the same as it was previously for them to come out and be anti-Trump. Many of the institutions that had power to wield over them were significantly anti-Trump. And culturally, it was popular to be anti-Trump. Win-win. When I hear Bernie Sanders, or even to a far lower degree, people like Pisco, talk about the robber barons and the oligarchs, I could give two shits less what their opinion is. They did not give a shit. They made fun of you when you'd be like, well, George Soros financed it. Oh, George Soros, the boogeyman. Oh, yeah, okay. Now in the same week they're complaining about oligarchs, Joe Biden's giving Alex Soros a Medal of Freedom. They didn't give a shit when Zuckerberg was handing out Zuckerbucks. Didn't give a shit at all. Oh, benefit. I talk about this all the time. For years they talked about big business getting involved in politics too much. And then we saw in the 2016 election and the 2020 election that increasingly the data showed that the very rich were supporting the Democrat Party. And all of a sudden, all those complaints went away. They didn't give a shit. When the majority of billionaires were financed, when Sam Bankman-Fried was stealing a bunch of money from investors and giving it to the Democratic Party, they were more than happy to accept it. When Facebook and Twitch and Amazon and the Washington Post had an incredible bent towards benefiting the Democratic Party, more than happy to have it. But if it swings the other way, this is outrageous. The robber barons, the oligarchs. I don't give a shit what those people say. I don't care at all. If Elon Musk gets in a fight with Trump tomorrow and then comes out and starts banning Trump supporters and he kicks Trump off the platform and starts putting money behind defeating Trump, the same people gnashing their teeth today about Elon Musk would be buying Teslas and celebrating how he's the greatest man that's ever lived. But Rob, wouldn't conservatives do it? Maybe. I don't give a shit. The game started with the Democrats. Don't believe me? Follow someone like Mike Benz. The election of Trump and Brexit was the catalyst for our intel agencies and what Mike Benz calls the blob to understand that they could no longer prioritize freedom of speech online because it would be used back home for populist movements. So they started playing footsies with the people that were running things like social media, pressuring them, buddying up to them to ensure censorship of ideas that they didn't want. Sucks. I agree it would have been better if none of this would have ever been broached, but it was. I don't want a world where we have lawfare against political opponents. I think that sucks, but that's what the Democrats wanted, and that's what all their supporters cheered for. Need I remind you that the initial investigation into Trump was accusing him of colluding with Russians to get misinformation against his opponent to affect the 2016 election. And the way that the Democrats, the FBI, and the media sought to prove that was by Hillary's team and the DNC colluding with a suspected Russian spy to get actual disinformation against Trump, which then the FBI used to spy on Trump's team. Let me repeat that. The very crime that they accused Trump of, they themselves committed, and unlike Trump's team, was successful in getting disinformation from suspected Russians, and then used it to spy on Trump in an effort to prove that he did what they had already done. Name me one Democrat, even low-level people that I stream with or have debated, that's came out thoroughly against that. They were all for it. How many of them came out against the Letitia James case? Or the Fani Willis case? Or the Alvin Bragg case? Or the E. Jean Carroll case? No, those are all legitimate. Those are all good cases. Okay? Shoes on the other foot, I hope. I'll still be shocked if Trump's DOJ actually has significant prosecutions against people on the establishment and Democratic side that deserve it. But that's what needs to happen. That's what deservedly should happen. And these people will scream, just like they're screaming about the oligarchs now, but they were fine with it back then. Just like they scream about January 6th, but they had almost nothing to say when we saw the Summer of Love and all the riots that were occurring, and riots at the White House against Trump. Junior Alcaca, thanks so much for the $5. Happy Trump Day, Rob. God bless, brother. Thank you. They don't give a shit about anything. Just like they screamed about kids in cages under Trump, but they didn't care under Biden. Just like they screamed about Russia collusion under Trump, but they didn't care when it was Hillary's team provably doing it. Just like they screamed about obstruction of justice when it was Trump, but they didn't care that Hillary's team deleted subpoenaed evidence. Just like they screamed about mishandling of classified information when it was Trump, but they didn't give a shit when it was Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. Now they're screaming Trump's too old, didn't give a shit when it was Joe Biden lied and said that he wasn't. So why do I give a shit that those people that were willing to look you in the face and lie to you about what you only had to turn on your television to see, Joe Biden's cognitive decline, but now they're going to tell you about, oh, but wait a minute, what Trump's doing this time is really bad. How many times can you cry wolf and expect us to take you seriously? I'll continue to call out what I see as bad, call out Trump's meme coin. But I'm not going to listen to these people. Screw them. May we each get the karma that we deserve. If you were happy with people like me being censored online when I was talking about COVID, or when I was talking about the 2020 election, may you get the very treatment that you wished upon me. If you are happy that lawfare was being directed against Trump people, and that people that worked in the Trump administration were many times difficult to find jobs because they were blacklisted being with Trump, may you get the same treatment you wished upon others. That's it. I only want people to be held to the standard that they sought others be held to. What's wrong with that? You say fight like hell is a call to violence? May you be treated the same if you say something like that. You were happy when Alex Jones had to pay $1 billion for defamation? If you libel or slander someone or say something that is a misinformation, may you be held to the same standard you wished upon others. That's it. They were too stupid. They were so confident that they would have a perpetual hegemony on power that it will never. And you couldn't talk to these people. I tried to tell them, like, for example, the Alex Jones thing. I was like, if you're a streamer who spends hours a day streaming, you're probably going to say something stupid at some point. Really? You're cheering someone like Alex Jones having to pay like $1 billion in fine? You can't see how that same logic could someday be used against something regrettable you say? I'll never say anything like that, so no one will come at me. Okay. Okie dokie. Trump overstated the value of his property. He has to pay $500 million. Okay. Trump got an improper loan to pay Stormy Daniels, and so that's a felony, 37 felonies, because he misfiled paperwork under an election. Okay. Mr. B for $5. Thanks so much. Says, awesome rant. Would it be an issue if I make an edit of the post of the short? Not at all, man. Have at her. Thank you for asking, though. Remember that guy, Neo Jackass, I was debating the other day? He said he doesn't spin things. He just tells the truth. Biden's a good moral man. He tells the truth. Need I bring up clips of Biden saying he wouldn't just make laws via Twitter and then declaring the 28th Amendment passed on Twitter? Or that he wouldn't offer preemptive pardons and then doing it by far worse than any president in history? Do you think he's made post one about that? Do you think? Because Biden's a moral man. We trust him. I am still on notice, to my knowledge. It's difficult, man. And I got sick. I think it's because I was so nervous because I've been on notice. Trump could do anything, and all of his supporters, all the people you're talking about him, will defend him no matter what. All I've heard in the lead up to this inauguration was Trump supporters arguing with each other about H-1Bs, about Trump's meme coin, about Elon Musk, about Vivek Ramaswamy. They just accuse you of what they do. How many of those people suggesting that said anything obvious about Biden's cognitive decline? How many? Well, there was this one article one time in the Washington Post that mentioned that people had said it, but that said other people had pushed back. So, by the way, there ought to be an investigation. I thought this was funny. Mike Johnson came out. Did you see this story? Mike Johnson's like, yeah, several months ago, I was talking to Biden's team about him signing an executive order or something that said that we couldn't sell liquid natural gas exported to our European allies. And I was like, why? And I wanted to get to the bottom of this. And he's like, I started to talk to Biden and his team about this. And I was like, can I just talk to Biden alone for a second? And he's like, when I talked to Biden alone, it became evident to me that he had no idea that he had signed this. Now that's one of the biggest political scandals in the history of our country, that the president has dementia so bad and his team is running things without even him being in the loop. So much so that when one of the head opposition people try to have a discussion with the president, he's completely out of the loop. But is that a good story for Mike Johnson? We're only hearing about that now? As opposed to when it occurred? Look at the difference. You remember when Trump in a private meeting said, why are we taking all these people from these shithole countries? He was right, they were shithole countries. But as a diplomat, that's not something that you really want to hear your leader saying. Because if you're other countries around the world, you might say, well, that's unbecoming. It's not gentlemanly. But the real story was the asshole who leaked that. Why would you leak that to make the president look bad? Well, the answer's obvious. Because the entire Trump administration was about leaking to harm Trump. And about using the normal process to harm Trump and to delegitimize him. So that's what the Democrats did, leaking out to Trump. But the head Republicans couldn't even, when it was a serious matter, that the president was so out to lunch, he didn't even know what his name was on serious policy prescriptions. Mike Johnson couldn't speak up about it. Just couldn't. And there was a story about Larry Sabato, who's like at CNN or something, that came out that said that like some senators spoke up and were like, holy shit, Larry, like Biden doesn't know where he's at. And when we try to raise objections, we're basically shouted down and ostracized. They all knew. They knew. We haven't had a president for months, maybe years. And they all knew. And they lied. And by the way, that's why the debate was as early as it was. The plan was, if Biden could have mumbled his way through the debate, they could have stuck with him and hid him in a closet the rest of the time and said, we did the debate, we did it. And if it blew up, they would have more time to be able to get a replacement. And then like lemmings, they all fell in. Yep, have to replace him. And then lied to you about what was happening. No one forced him out. It was democratic. Joe Biden stepped down on his own. The whole process was bullshit. While they screamed about democracy. I'm a Republican. I wasn't going to vote for who was the Democrat candidate anyways. I was only going to vote in the general election. So it wasn't my Democratic voice they silenced. It was the Democrat voters. They lied to the Democrat voters about Biden's condition, and then they forced him out once the condition became evident to everyone. That's as anti-democratic as it comes. They yelled about norms and how Trump may weaponize the justice system as they defended Biden's team weaponizing the justice system to go after Trump. They said Trump in 2020 may pardon his entire family and issue preemptive pardons, while they cheered for a guy that they knew all the while was going to issue pardons of his family and preemptive pardons if he ever lost. They said repeatedly, Biden's not the type of guy that would do that. And then he did it. And now, because it's no longer politically expedient to have to defend Biden, many of them will come out and they'll say, oh, actually, I don't like these pardons of Biden now, like Pisco's doing. Great, Johnny come lately. Biden's not running again. He's an albatross around their neck. What I tell you, Biden, what I tell you, Democrats, as soon as you're no longer useful to them, you'll be cast aside. That will be Biden's legacy. Through the overarching country, it'll be one of corruption, of ineptitude, of a man who had a criminal family who pardoned them in unprecedented ways, whose Department of Justice went after his opponents, who lied to you about important things like the direction of the economy and the border, who was abysmal with foreign policy, including the disastrous Afghanistan pullout, where people were literally hanging off the wings of planes. And the one positive is that he outed almost the entire Democratic press and Democratic Party for lying about his obvious cognitive decline. That'll be his overarching legacy. But to Democrats specifically, his legacy will be the person that ushered in Trump's second term. That'll be his legacy. Because let's be honest, the Democrat politicians don't give a shit what the average person thinks of them. They only give a shit what the people around them, the ones they care about, think. And to those people, Biden's about to be discarded to never be seen again. That's what's going to happen. And now the shit talking will commence. And now anytime they want to talk about Trump violating norms and someone says, you guys supported Biden, they'll say, what Biden did was terrible. It was inexcusable. What he did was horrid. That'll be your legacy, Biden, amongst the people that you stuck up for. Of course, the chance of Biden being one of the 94 people watching me right now are slim to none. And even if he was watching, he probably wouldn't remember whatever I was saying. Anyways. Thanks, Level 4 Lobster. I appreciate it. We have a president again today. That's what today's about. My hope is that Trump has learned from his first term. He's not going to do everything perfect. He's going to do a lot of personal dumb shit like this Trump meme coin. He's going to say a lot of dumb shit. He's going to walk into a lot of self-inflicted wounds. But overall, hopefully he learned from his first term and how corrupt the system is. And he understands that he does have a mandate. And that we don't care anymore. The momentum's on his side. Yes, they're going to call you a Nazi. Yes, they're going to call you a Russian stooge. Yes, people behind the scenes are going to leak stuff to make you look terrible over and over again. Who cares? Who gives a shit? And so far on day one, so good. So I thought it was a great day. It's a day for celebration. If anything, at least the signal's been set on the border. Hopefully the roundups begin soon. Hopefully anybody that was unjustly imprisoned on January 6th will be home shortly and can get over that nightmare. The next step for the people who had any of their rights violated is restitution. I just hope Trump's team, to me the most important thing, is accountability for the weaponization that occurred in our system for the past 8 years. And that means going after treasonous traitors like Miley and Fauci and Liz Cheney if they committed crimes in the January 6th committee, and being open and transparent with the American people about those things. That's what needs to happen. Accountability to ensure that this sort of stuff doesn't happen again. We've been gaslit and we've been lied to for 8 years about the criminality of Trump and people surrounding Trump. Well, people on the other side have provably done worse things like deleted subpoenaed evidence and got scot-free off for it. Doesn't matter if they got pardoned. They could be investigated. They could be hammered for investigate them going back years like they did to everyone connected to Trump. Look at them for unrelated financial stuff in 2013. Bring them in and cause them to testify over and over again. If they misstate something, then charge them for perjury. Release all the evidence anyways publicly. Charge them with state crimes that they can't be pardoned for, if they committed crimes. So, all right, I'm not sure that I'll be streaming tomorrow, but I definitely will be streaming Wednesday and Thursday for sure, and hopefully Friday as well. So enjoy this evening and go check out more of the festivities. My hat's off to all of my friends that were able to attend the inauguration. My work schedule is such that it was always a pipe dream. Maybe someday when Jess Gerald donates like 5 million memberships to me, then I'll be able to quit my job and attend events like that more often. But no, it's a good day, and it is cause for celebrating. I'll be here for all the criticisms you can handle of Trump going forward. But take a moment to enjoy yourself and to watch at the people that are hyperventilating, spreading rumor after rumor. And there'll be a lot of them today. We'll see. A good litmus test right out the gate. Elon gave a Nazi salute. The ADL came out and said clearly that's not the case. But not PBS, not Democratic senators, not your favorite left-wing streamers. They're all out there. Nazi salute! Nazi salute! Ah! Enjoy. And I saw someone had a post that was great. It's like, everybody's right back where they want to be. All of the media, the fact checkers that had to pretend for 4 years, well, Biden doesn't lie. Now they get to be back doing what they want. And the people that want to scream Nazi and racist and everything, there they are. They get to be back doing what they want. Everybody's happy. We're back, baby. America's back. So even if you're a lefty, think of all the great content you'll have lying about Trump again. You've already started day one with a Nazi hoax. I'm sure you'll have your fine people hoax by the end of the week you could go off with. For the rest of us, don't take those people seriously this time. Laugh at them. Deride them as they deserve to be. It's the same with this. It's the same on my own little slice of shit. It's like when people call me RobGPT. Same shit. Doesn't matter that the proof's right there. Go look at my feed arguing with these people this weekend. I was having a blast sitting there watching kid shows with my son as I was watching them this weekend, arguing with these people on X. Well, the problem is Rob pretended that he read the article. No, I didn't. The first time that the article comes up, it's at 2:47 seconds. Very first thing I say is, well, I admittedly haven't done almost any research on this, but I did read some summaries. Then I repeat that about 2-3 more times in the next 4 minutes. Destiny, though, says, yes, I did read this. Then Destiny's forced to admit my interpretation of it's correct. Well, the problem is Rob bullied it to say something that wasn't true. And yet Destiny says what I said was true. And he was wrong. Well, the problem was that you misled people and didn't say it was AI. One, why would that be a problem anyways? Destiny, for example, I got Pisco to admit on my stream that he was sending DMs to Destiny as the debate was going, which I knew. And secondly, what, 4 whole minutes? I thought that it was an article that I screenshotted and it turned out to be AI, and then I admitted it was AI. Well, the problem is you were pretending to read the paper. Yeah, we already dealt with that. Well, the problem is the information was inaccurate. Yeah, we already dealt with that. But it doesn't matter. They'll keep saying it. Now, why am I bringing this up? That's the same shit with the flying people hoax. It doesn't matter. You could debunk, or the drink bleach hoax. It's the same shit. You could debunk it over and over. They don't give a fuck. They're mindless automatons. They're NPCs. They just repeat. And as long as their crowd's big enough, when I argue with someone in DGG, it's me versus 5,000 people. Okay, RobGPT, did Claude tell you to say that? Ha ha ha. And it's just, I get ratioed every time. I don't give a fuck. But that's what it was like. Trump said Nazis were good people. That's what all the loudest screeching people in powerful positions that were controlling the narrative said over and over and over and over and over again. And it turns out it was bullshit. And they're going to go right back to that playbook. Elon Musk did a Nazi salute. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll work this time. Didn't work in the 2024 election. Let's see. That's going to be their game plan going forward. That, and look at all these people crying at the border. Oh, look at this great person that's being deported. Oh, no. That's it. That's their strategy. So enjoy it. You got the playbook. You know what's coming up. All right. Remember, keep checking out my YouTube channel. I'll be putting up short videos pretty much every day or every other day. Thank you so much, everyone who donated, everyone who chatted, and everyone that just silently listened. I appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and as always, have a good one.